All right, welcome back to the Figure It Out podcast, the show where I interview people in careers I'm interested in to figure out what I want to do with my own life. Welcome to Melissa Cotier, the founder and owner of Compliance Shop and a certified fraud examiner. Melissa specializes in forensic auditing and fraud investigation. Her firm gets hired by different Minnesota governments and private companies to provide audit and fraud prevention services. She's been doing this type of work for a number of years, but is in year 3 of having her own firm. Forensic accounting didn't initially come up on my career test, but a couple of years ago, the bookkeeper for the park suggested that I look into it after I dwelled for weeks and weeks and weeks on a missing $3,000 and ended up finding it. And the amount of gratification that gave me made me want to look into this. Contacted Melissa, and here we are. It was a pretty quick turnaround. She got back to me right away. So that's great. So welcome to the show. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks, Max. Thanks for having me.
Let's back it up. So I only know what forensic accounting is because of the movie The Accountant, which we'll talk about a little later. But in your own words, if you're explaining to somebody what you do for a living, what do you tell them?
So forensic accounting to me, like I'm a numbers person. Numbers like tell a story. Words, I feel like there's so much black and white. There's gray areas, it can be ambiguous. But give me some spreadsheets, give me some reports, and I feel like it really can tell a full story for me. I can see what coffee shops you like, what time your morning starts, what salons you go to, where you eat lunch, where you're driving for the day. So it's like black and white. Like I just give me the numbers. I can tell the story. And really that's what forensic accounting is. It's telling the story and following the money and let that lead you to the truth, because I feel like numbers is where the facts lie. It's my happy place.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't hide in those spreadsheets. It's all black or white. The money's all got to go somewhere, or it's all got to come from somewhere.
Right.
I often tell people that the two truth sources in your life are your calendar and your bank account. You cannot hide where you spend your time and where you spend your money, and that can tell you so much about a person or a business.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is let's dive into your schedule. What does your daily schedule look like? Does it ebb and flow throughout the year? When I think about accountants, I think about tax season, and that's a big time of year for them. Does that typically, do you follow that pattern, or how does that look for you?
I actually know, and I feel like that is one of the misnomers, is that accountant, you automatically think tax.
Right.
I don't do tax. And so it does ebb and flow, but not with a tax year.
Okay.
It's when we're on a case and when we're diving into an audit, we're all in.
Right.
We're working nights, we're working weekends. Probably similar to when you were digging into finding the $3,000.
Yeah.
It's
all consuming.
It's consuming, and you're like, it's almost here. I just need some more pieces here, some more pieces there. So once I'm in it, I'm fully vested. And then other times now owning my own practice, a lot of the marketing pieces in there, the networking piece. I'm also on 2 volunteer boards with a certified Association of Fraud Examiners for Twin Cities, and then also Blaze Credit Union. So I think also in those volunteer positions too, you get so much rewarding work there and networking opportunities. So it does definitely ebb and flow, and it's so fun.
Yeah. Do you dream about it? Do you dream about you wake up? Because I had this experience where I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I think it's here. And it totally wasn't. It was a dream state situation. But have you ever had that, you wake up and you're like, I think I figured it out.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because yes, all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm working late hours. I go to sleep
and
I feel like I'm continuing to work. I probably should be logging these hours.
I was going to say, those are billable hours, baby. Rack them up.
Right. Because I feel like I wake up, I have a notepad right next to my bed and I wake up and I'm like, okay, look at this. Make sure because you do. I mean, and to me, I'm so nerdy because it's enjoyable and fun.
Yeah.
And so, but in that sense, it's kind of hard because your brain doesn't turn off then. And I feel like when I'm in it, I'm fully vested. I dream about it. My brain keeps going, it doesn't necessarily disconnect.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's some good moments in those dreams.
Are they always good, or do you sometimes wake up and you're like, what was I thinking? Like this isn't even related to what I'm talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
a lot of times that too,
Yeah.
because you're like, oh my gosh, why can't I just shut it off?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be like
Yeah.
always work related in some way, shape, or form?
Totally.
Yeah. That's
What about nightmares? You ever like woken up and been like, oh, I lost that spreadsheet, or like, oh, my computer crashed and I lost all this stuff that I was working on? Any nightmares like that?
I have had that, and a lot of times too, I'll wake up and like have nails
Yeah.
in my because I'm like grabbing on to something. So
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I got it. I gotta run for this, go for this. And I'm like, no, there's nothing in my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. They've calmed down a little bit, but when I used to run escape rooms, I would have so many nightmares that I would like get there for the day and there'd be people waiting outside. Like, I had a booking 15 minutes ago and no one's here, or like 30 people just showed up in the lobby and I have no staff, or like so many of those nightmares. It was ridiculous. That's like, my mom's like, that's something you inherited from me. Like she had a lot of work nightmares too.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk. So when you're on a case, sounds like it's 24/7, literally, because when you're sleeping,
Pretty much.
What about when you're not on a case? Like, is that just you pour that time into marketing and networking and other stuff, or what does that daily schedule look like?
Yes. Yep. It's been pouring into marketing, kind of doing any network opportunities.
Mhm.
We just had International Fraud Week.
Critical.
Yes.
Okay.
So during that time, I did a presentation for the state of Minnesota.
Awesome.
Kind of talking to them about fraud awareness,
Mhm.
internal controls, anything they can do to
Mhm.
lessen their risk of fraud. So really just kind of like building those connections. I feel like those times are also really important times that I didn't know would be so enjoyable prior, to starting my own business.
Totally.
But then also like in the mentoring space too,
Okay.
I think has been really valuable. So mentoring upcoming like college students who are interested in the field, but then I also still have mentors in every area, which is so valuable. And I wish I would have started earlier,
Yeah. It's such an awkward thing though. Like, I think that people like you and I have this conversation about mentors, and like hopefully somebody's going to watch this and be like, I should find a mentor. But like, you don't email someone and be like, hey, will you sign up to be my mentor? Like, hey, can you mentor me? Like, it just happens so naturally that like, for me, it's been like, I've had a relationship with someone for 2 years and then I'm like, oh, I would consider them a mentor.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's almost something that happens backwards, but it can be very difficult to like seek someone out or be like, what should I even look for in a mentor? So like, when you were up and coming, or even now, like, what kind of traits are you looking for
in a mentor?
Yeah.
So I think once I was up and coming, one of the things that I would diligently do is see like leaders in the room
Mm-hmm.
and kind of watch how they lead a meeting or prepare. And I used to take notes for that.
Yeah,
So there are
yeah.
like a few people that I remember kind of looking up to because they were women in executive leadership space, but they would make sure to acknowledge you when you're in the room. I
Mhm.
mean, at points I was just a student worker, but they would always make a point to remember my name,
Mhm.
ask me my thoughts, allow me the opportunity to speak up.
Yeah.
And I would always like take notes. Like,
Mhm.
what are the things that I see them doing well that
Mhm.
I want to then bring in to my career when
Mhm.
I grow up?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then also just like asking questions. I think like we don't value enough the importance of asking questions, especially when we're in that infant stage of our career.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I started out as a student worker. And so being able to ask questions, because our voice is valuable.
Yeah.
A lot of times people have been in those careers and those roles for so long, like they're kind of tunnel vision
Mhm.
thinking. So your opinion is still valuable at
Yeah.
any stage.
Mhm.
They would always say like, gosh, you're a millennial. You're in this position for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
speak up. We want to hear your opinion. We
Mhm.
want to hear your thoughts, because a lot of times like our thoughts are kind of just circulated thinking the same, but
Yeah.
we want to know what other people are thinking. So, just the courage to ask questions, I think too, is
Mhm.
so important in those beginning stages.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I think like, I almost think about it as like the courage to look dumb, where you're like,
Yes.
I'm going to ask this question and it might be a dumb question, or you might think less of me, but like, I'm going to know the answer. And I always feel like more often than not, people are like, oh, that's a good question. Or like, they're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Or like, and at the least, like I learned something new, and like, that can be so important. And if And at best, I like made someone think about something in a way that they hadn't before, and like that made progress.
Yeah, I agree. And I think no question is a dumb question. And I learned this a lot in auditing because I think auditors a lot of times like we'll ask questions that we already know the answer to, but we're just seeing how you're gonna answer it.
Yeah, like a true detective.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of got me comfortable asking questions. And like you said, like no
Mhm.
question is a dumb question, or I said that. But that, we just like we're just inquiring. We
Mhm.
want to know more about the process. Like explain it in your terms. I
Mhm.
might think I know, but I would really just like to hear your perspective. And people like sharing and talking about what they do
Mhm.
or, sharing about their role. So, yeah, it's just like so valuable. And then that will organically kind of build those mentor relationships, just like
Yeah.
you're saying. It's not like, hey, will you be my mentor? But
Yeah.
it's like, gosh, this person is really curious
Mhm.
and seems eager to learn, and
Mhm.
then that kind of builds organically.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think of it as like almost the Lego building of your own life, where you kind of just like pick a piece from like, oh, I like that person's life, that part, like that
Yeah,
aspect of their personality. How do I get more of that? I like this person, and for this reason or whatever. Like I certainly have like business people where I'm like I really look up to them, and I have fitness people where I really look up to them, and then like people who seem to have a really great family life, or they're good with money or whatever, and like kind of pulling all that together to be like, okay, how do I create the person that I want to be, and I can model it after all these different people rather than just finding like one person where I'm like, oh, I want to be like them.
I love that analogy,
Yeah.
honestly, because that is so true. It's like you're building, taking like
Yeah.
little trait character blocks, and then like that's what you look up to, and you're kind of like building that yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a long time where I refused to read self development books because I was like, if this book is going to change my life, I would have already known about it. Like, I kind of had that arrogance where I was
Yeah.
like, really, this book is going to change my life. And then I kind of started thinking about it like that, where I was like, well, if one chapter of this book changes a little bit of something, then like that will have been worth it. Like, that's
Exactly.
okay. Just because you don't agree with the whole book or whatever, like, it doesn't mean it's not worth reading. It doesn't mean it's not worth your time. Like, even if one paragraph changes the way that you do something, like, totally worth it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. So, all right, well, let's get back to your career. So what, like, how did you get here? Like, you have your own firm, you've had it for 3 years.
Yes.
Bring me back to like we talked on the way up.
Yep.
You grew up in Rosemount, so like I assume you went to college around here. Talk me through the whole thing.
Yeah. Yep. I grew up in South Minneapolis, and I went to college at St. Mary's University.
Okay.
I went to college right out of high school. Started at St. Mary's University, bartended throughout my college career, which I
Okay.
absolutely loved, and still really like the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And then had the opportunity or saw the opportunity to be an intern with the Department of Transportation
Okay.
in their accounting department.
Okay.
I saw the post in college in our like resource center, and I sent an email, didn't get a response. Sent another email, and I must have hounded that lady like, oh my gosh, I probably sent one email a month until I finally got an interview, and in the beginning it was like, okay, thanks, I'll file your resume, or I'll
Mhm.
file your interest. And I
Mhm.
was like, no, like I want this.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like such a hard pivot to go from bartending to then like a real world job. I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm going to
Mhm.
have a degree, but I don't know. Like, I need to get my foot in their door somewhere. So then when I had that opportunity at Department of Transportation, it was like amazing.
Yeah.
I started off in their audit department, and just seeing like different investigations. We would
Mhm.
audit different processes. I also headed the whistleblower hotline there.
Okay.
So just to see like all the different things you can do in accounting, where it's
Mhm.
not just like crunching numbers all day, looking at payroll, looking
Mhm.
at spreadsheets, but it would actually be like, here's an issue that we found.
Mhm.
This isn't working right. How to research it. And I feel like that kind of like sparked my love for numbers
Yeah.
and auditing and doing investigations. From there, I started off as a student worker
Mhm.
and then grew my career at Department of Transportation, ended up like being a principal auditor
Okay.
and having some people
Wow.
under me. And then I was able to mentor student workers
Yeah.
in that position, which was so cool. Then stayed in government for about 10 years, went to the private sector and
Okay.
got some experience there
Yeah.
just to see. I mean, it's a little bit more demanding
Okay.
in the private sector. The more focus is like revenue based. It was actually in deceased debt collections, which is like night and day to
Yeah.
being in public sector community service type
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But I think that like really showed me you can find a mission in whatever you do.
Yeah.
I kind of like put it into this perspective of people are losing loved ones. They're in a financial, burden. They don't know what to do. And
Mhm.
at least like our company is then able to give them guidance on
Yeah.
like, what next steps are.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. We had about 350 audits a year there.
Whoa.
So that was huge.
That's a
That was
lot.
like night and day
Yeah.
from where I was coming from. I had a team of 5,
Okay.
which was great. I was able to build my team there, really do some mentoring
Mhm.
and kind of like build your own adventure
Yeah.
type of thing
Yeah.
in that space. But from there, I really wanted to get back to the passion of like public service
Okay.
and fraud investigation. So I decided to like start my own business, and
Yeah.
that was going to be like my retirement goal. I was like, this is like when I retire 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And it just grew so organically, so quickly.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing now for the last 3 years.
That's awesome.
And working with different state agencies to help them proactively look at fraud investigation,
Mhm.
fraud protection, audits.
Yeah.
It's just been, it's been so fun.
Yeah. Interesting. Give me some prevention tips. Like I am the key holder for all things Champion Valley pretty much. So like I don't really worry about anyone stealing from me, but like, I certainly have the $3,000 that was missing was because of an issue with our credit card processor. So like that was a hole that I didn't even think would exist because it's like this, it's reliable, it always works. What other tips, I guess when I think of like prevention and security, I think about like 2-factor authentication and like stuff like that. I'm sure your world is very different. So what are your hot tips for fraud prevention?
Yeah. So in like small businesses, I think it's really important too, which I just like one of my clients that wasn't in government, but like a business was I found hundreds of $1,000s in overbilling from one of their vendors. So in something like paintball, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a contract. I'm sure you order your paintball supplies,
Yep.
you order those,
Mm-hmm.
but are you being very diligent and detailed
Yeah.
looking at this is what I contracted the price for.
Mhm.
Now, what is the price in this invoice?
Yeah.
And I ordered 100 paintballs. Are there 100 paintballs
Yes.
here? I think like when we're so busy and it is just us,
Yes.
some of that stuff can get overlooked. You're like, am I really going to count to see if there's 100 paintballs
Yeah.
here or
Yeah.
if like the
I
inventory?
am, and I do.
Good to know. Yes.
Yeah.
But that, like who's keeping track of the inventory?
Yeah.
Are you counting all the guns? Are you making sure,
Totally.
they're there at the end of the night?
Mhm.
I think though all those little things like get lost. And like I said, just like when we're bringing in employees too,
Mhm.
are they billing the actual hours that they're there?
Yeah.
Any of those type of things. It's like those little things I think that gets missed, especially when it's one person. I'm a small business too.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like we want to do all things, but gosh, would it be valuable sometimes to like offload that to someone else just to
Mhm.
be that second set of eyes? I think would be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes for me, it always feels like that balance of like, okay, do I want to do this just myself? Like our inventory, like we do inventory every month. And like that is something that I do. And it's like, well, okay, is this valuable for me to do? Or am I going to be too tired to do it? Or like, hey, I don't want to. Like I've got other things to do. I have what I call revenue generating activities that I could be working on. Like that to me is more valuable than this. Or do I hire someone else? But then I have to trust someone else too with that process. And like, I mean, I have almost exclusively teenage boys. So like for me, that's a tough balance of like, okay, well, what do I do in this situation? Do I try to suck it up and just like tell myself I'm going to do it? Or do I hand over a little bit of control to a 16-year-old kid and trust that he's going to do it right? Like,
Yeah.
that's always the challenge, at least for me. I'm sure for a lot of small business owners.
It is. I mean, I think we talked about it too, like, to be in that mindset of, okay, now I need to be focused more on where my time is most valuable to be spent.
Yes.
And is it, doing inventory and counting these things when, I can buy that time and then use my time somewhere else to generate revenue.
Yeah.
I think it's really important and to empower maybe those. Even though I know they're 17, it is hard because like I, had teenagers too.
Yeah.
But if you're empowering them, like sometimes they'll take that and run with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll even find a better way to make it more efficient where it might take you 5 hours to do that. And they're like, oh my gosh, no, what? You did that? No, I just did this, this, and this. And I have, some quick way that is more efficient. So I always love to explore that and bring new people in because you can see different ways.
Yeah, I think these kids would just like take a picture of the inside of the building. They'd be like, take a picture, upload it to ChatGPT. I don't know. Chat said I had this many. We had this many paintballs. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah. That's so when you are working with a business and you find something like overbilling or whatever. Your scope of services, are you like, you're letting them know like, hey, this is the problem? Are you giving them recommendations of like, hey, moving forward, these are the processes that I would put in place so that this doesn't happen again? Or do you offer like ongoing, like almost subscription, like, hey, I'll audit you, once every 6 months for a flat fee? Like, how does that look?
Yes, like all the above. I'm also like working directly with their vendors and recouping those fees for them.
You're laying
down I'm not like here's my report. Now you go, claw back the funds. Like, I'm directly working with them because it's so much easier, for me to explain the numbers, explain the facts, explain exactly how I came to the conclusion of like, this is where you overbilled $100,000. Instead of like handing it over to them and now expecting them to go track it down.
Yeah.
So I do recoup that definitely for them myself. And then, yes, I also give them a full plan of like, so this doesn't happen in the future. Here are the steps that need to be taken into place.
Yeah.
In one of the instances, it was like they signed a contract with their vendor for this price of $2. And then the vendor's like, oh, well, we sent you an email that our price increased, to $2.50 back in December, but they sent it to like an admin. Well, the admin doesn't have the authority, to validate a price increase.
Yeah.
So it's like just making sure that any of those updates go to the correct person and that, it's signed off on. Or even for you, it's like if there is going to be a price increase in the contract, it says like I need 30 days notice for that because, we're budgeting. We need to budget that into our account. So I definitely write a whole remediation plan and would love to continue to work with them either on an annual basis or like you said, just on call. Like if anything does come up during the year, you can always call me. I also provide like trainings for them too. Like, like trainings for their staff because they don't always know what to look for, what could be fraudulent.
Yeah.
A lot of times too, like there's kind of like some newer scams in there where they will try to pretend that they're an employee redirecting their payroll to a different account. Right. And they're like calling HR and like, oh, I'm Jane Smith, and I just got a new bank account. Can you, here's my new bank account information number, and now redirect my payroll to this new bank account.
Yeah.
And that happens like frequently because you wouldn't even assume. They feel like they know the person's name. They know where the person works. They could even get all this stuff from LinkedIn. I mean, you honestly can look at someone's LinkedIn profile and then call the HR director of that company.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they wouldn't think anything different of it. And then obviously with AI stuff, that gets even more scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in those big businesses, like that HR person is kind of like, okay, like, sure. Yeah. Even for us, I got an email couple months ago now that was like, oh, I'm trying to redirect the payroll for somebody who hadn't worked for us in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm lucky that like I'm not new and I know that this is not real. Like there's no way, blah, blah, blah. But like thinking about a new manager in a small business, like I wouldn't have ever thought to be like, here's the data for our employees for the past 20 years. If you get something like this, like, you know, it's not real. So don't worry about it. Like, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And to like, I would imagine that you do a lot of like cultivating curiosity of like, hey, these numbers like might not be real. Like you have to dig into them and be like, hey, where did this come from? Like accountants make mistakes, bookkeepers make mistakes. Like you have to dig into all this. Like I'm in the middle of like, I mentioned to you the other day, like our year-end review of like digging into our chart of accounts and like, hey, why was this 30% over budget consistently every month? Like, did I budget that wrong? And it was like, oh no, it turns out that it was being miscategorized for the past year. So like, okay, great. We got to redo that. But like, knowing that that's possible, I think for me was a big eye opener to be like, oh, my bookkeeper is actually not all knowing.
Yeah.
Like, they actually don't know everything. And so therefore like to double check their work and to just be like, okay, you know, this is 10% off. All right, that's fine. This is 50% off. Like, okay, now I got to dig into this and be like, all right, where did that come from? Yeah. So I'd imagine that you do a lot of like,
yes, it's called professional skepticism.
Okay, all right.
And so
we call it the sniff. We call it the sniff check
there,
in the paintball world. I'm like, does it pass the sniff test?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, this is what it looks like on the surface.
Yeah.
But like ideally, you would want like 3 different points to match that to validate, you know, that what you're seeing is actually tried and true.
Yeah.
And so that you're like digging into those things. I mean, even an invoice on its face, like you said, if you get an invoice sent in, but now you want to say, okay, well, where's the packing slip? Did we actually receive this? Or is this just something you're invoicing me at the end of the year because you're trying to get your books in order? But then, did we receive it? And then does it match up in inventory? So that would be like 3 different ways that you're tracking, okay, this number is valid. And not just to trust it on its face.
Yeah.
But then you're also not doing that with every single transaction.
Right,
you're kind of just like sparsely picking out some. And then if those all look good, then you know, okay, the majority of them are, you know, probably valid.
Yeah.
But if you're finding errors, that's when we like expand our scope, we say, and then we can start like digging into everything because you're like, gosh, if my bookkeeper missed this one thing, like how many more things then could they missed? And then that can just like open up the can of worms for sure. Yeah.
Well, and then even yourself, like, I mean, I check it every month to be like, okay, this is where we're at, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this was categorized here. I'll move some stuff around. And then this year, end of year, I went through all of it again for the year. And I was like, okay, I missed this like $500 marketing charge that I put in COGS. Like, how did I miss that? Like, I check it every month. Like, that's crazy. But it happens. Like it happens all the time. And to be just the one set of eyes can be scary where I'm like, oh God, like and then I start to distrust myself where I'm like, okay, if I miss that, then, oh, what else could I have missed?
Yeah. I mean, and even in the career that I'm in the field I am, you would think that my books would be like spot on, but like you're saying, when it's just you and you're the one who's taking care of the books, just like I am, I miss stuff too. Yeah. Because we're so used to looking at it. Sometimes we're like, yep, I know that there. But, you know, I'm kind of at the point too where I'm thinking of bringing someone else in just to double check me. And which we do with all of our audits too, right? Like there's like 3 level of audits. It's the person that's kind of gathering the documentation, you know, have all the spreadsheets there. Then we have the auditor who actually does the work. Yeah. But it still needs to go through like that final set of review. And then you're like ticking the numbers off. And in small business, when it's just you, I mean, even in my line of work, like I miss things, you know, it's so difficult. Yeah. Yeah. And now there's all these like AI tools that are like, we'll do all your expenses for you. Yeah. I was like, oh, great. And then I was like, oh my God, this is like, I mean, so we pay for Google like Suite, right? So we have like the @Champion Valley Park email, all that kind of stuff. And then we pay for Google Ads. Well, this AI was like, it's all the same thing. And I was like, oh my God, no, this one, like, no. So I mean, I think that we will get there where like there will be a much better tracking and like all that kind of stuff. But at this point, it's like, you got to have a human set of eyes look at it. You definitely can't trust that they are going to get that right. No. And I mean, AI is good for certain things and like to get maybe some of the thing started.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I didn't look at that, or
Mhm.
oh, here are some things that I should be aware of. But as far as like really doing those like
Yeah.
validation checks,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah.
it's not there.
Yeah. Well, and they're definitely not going to claw back that money for you. Like, I think,
No.
like, hey, send this contract, send this invoice. Like, hey, see how these are different. Like, I think chat probably could have said, like, hey, yes, you're being billed for this much, but your contract says this much. But they are definitely not going to get
Right,
that
no.
100K back for me.
No, and like those were like a lot of pressing meetings,
Yeah.
where we're like going back and forth, and
Yeah.
yes, I understand that you upped your price.
Mhm.
However, that was not communicated
Yeah.
or validated, and
Yeah.
we have a contract that says this was the
Mhm.
price that we signed up for.
Yeah.
And honestly, like those are the conversations I love. Like I love to kind of like I just like debate. I love
Yeah.
to debate
Yeah.
and kind of go back and forth, especially when I like know my facts and like I said, numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
You're confident in that
they
number.
tell a story.
Totally.
It's not like, oh, there's some gray area right here. It's like,
Mhm.
no, this is the price that
Yeah.
we signed
Yeah.
for. This
$2 is
yeah.
$2. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're not looking at that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it so easily gets missed.
Yeah. Especially if you're ordering it on a small quantity. Like, then it's like, well, you don't even really know. Like, that could have been an up in shipping or something like that.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. That's super interesting. And I'm sure, like, I mean, you really almost cross into lawyer territory there, where you're kind of like, that's not what the contract says. Like, I mean, contract law would say, like, you
Pretty
need
much,
to have
yeah.
an updated contract that states that is signed by both parties, and like all those things.
Yes.
So yeah, you really get to kind of cross into that. And you
fun.
help like keep that vendor relationship alive, right? Because if I go to that vendor, like, there's a chance they could drop me in. Like,
Yeah.
there's only so many paintball manufacturers like here at this point. So it's kind of like, all right, well, if this one drops me, I have to go to a different one. If that one drops me, I gotta start making my own, because I'm done then.
Yeah.
So that like gives you a great position too, to be like, hey, I can kind of be the a-hole for you, and you don't have to do it.
It does. And honestly, like I am aware that relationship needs to stay there.
Yeah.
So like I really just focus on the facts.
Totally.
I'm like, hey, I know this probably wasn't your issue or this wasn't intentional. However, like this is how it is.
Yeah, totally.
and like let's get this resolved so we can continue the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we really took a left turn there. Let's talk about cracking the case. I mean, you found this $100,000. Any other feelings where you were like, and you had that crack the case moment? Any Scooby-Doo moments where you got to like pull the mask off and be like, it was them?
Yeah. So I just like love to dive into that stuff.
Yeah.
And not so much of like, oh my gosh, I want to like get somebody in trouble. But
Yeah.
it's like finding where the breakdown is and how, like where the missing money is.
Yeah.
Right. And where that even came about, I think is like the most exciting thing. I know you mentioned the accountant, but like a lot of the true crime stuff that I watch is like the Becoming Anna.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
Theranos schemes.
Yes.
And even like Tinder swindler.
Yeah.
And it's just like the fact that someone who can present themselves so confident and get people to just like believe them.
Write those checks.
Yeah. I'm like, gosh, confidence is such like a winning key factor. It's like you can just show up like I know everything. Nobody's going to ask questions, but it's like really validating those different things. Like, is this person who they say they are?
Yeah.
A lot of times it simply is like picking up a phone call.
Yeah.
Which I feel like in today's age is so scary.
Yes. Yes.
For young adults, right?
Absolutely.
Like, what I have to like call and like have a physical conversation.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is like that is the number one thing in fraud investigation.
Okay.
Is like either calling the bank and saying, hey, does this person actually have a bank account with you? Do you have a customer like this on file? I am the salesperson and I'm just validating that this is true. And a lot of times you can find out so much from those calls.
Yeah.
And like, that's all it would have taken.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in our cases too, I'm like, when I'm just picking up the phone, I'm like, hey, did this person actually donate this much money to you? Because I'm like checking this off and it's like, oh no, we don't have that on file.
Yeah.
And you're like, aha, but they have the receipt saying that they did.
Yeah.
And like, how did that come, into play? And people are so forthcoming with conversations more than they are over email.
Yeah.
And it's just like so valuable. It's like, bring back, the phone calls. I feel like
Bring back the phone calls.
Bring back those conversations where it's not like a chat bot on the other side of an email. And I think also like we've run to the point where we're running our emails even through like ChatGPT, where you're like seeing like, hope you're having a great day today.
Yeah.
And, you can just like tell. And I'm like, oh gosh, yeah. Pick up the phone and make the call. I feel like that's like you said, like the Scooby-Doo, like that's when you really can find out. And people are so forthcoming and wanting to speak that you'll get more information, even maybe that they're not supposed to be sharing with you.
Yeah.
But, they're just like so interested in, like, oh my gosh, yes, let me tell you about that. And no, this person doesn't have an account with us, but like you're the second person that's already called us today. Oh, really? Who else called? Oh, okay, this person called. So then, you can that starts the whole trail. Yeah. Yep.
That's so fascinating. Yeah. And you're not a lawyer. You're not the law. So you don't have like hearsay bounds or anything like, oh, you came about, this is circumstantial evidence. Like you don't really have to follow that. So it's like, oh yeah, well this clerk at this bank told me that. And like, I figured it out.
Exactly.
So there it is. Like it doesn't matter how I figured it out. It just matters that I did. So that's super fun. Yeah. Yeah. Calling. I don't know. You and I might disagree on that. I'm definitely the Gen Z that's like, I don't want to, but it is interesting because I'll do it for work. Like I've got no problem making a work phone call. I mean, during the season, I think I ran the numbers and we had over 4,000 phone calls last season. So like I answer the phone all the time, but when it's like, oh, you got to make your own phone call for your own thing, I'm like, yeah, that can be an email, but yeah, I don't know. The ChatGPT emails, I'm out on like basically all professionalism, which is kind of a hot take, but like, I don't need your niceties. I don't need your like, how's it going? Just tell me what you need and I will give it to you. And then that's that. Like, that's all we need from each other. Like, I don't need to.
Honestly, I'm kind of with you on that one too, just because like it can be so much fluff and people are busy now. Like there's so much to do. And it's like, hey, I've even heard lately too, like when we're talking about mentors, like don't come to me and say, hey, can I buy you a coffee? I want to like pick your brain about such and such and such. It's like, no, just come to me like, hey, Melissa, can you be on my podcast? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, this is what I want.
This is what I'm looking for.
Boom.
And because it's like, I think the authenticity too is like so refreshing.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I need. Yeah. Can you do this for me? Are you willing to help?
Yeah. Yeah. And then like, I'm so grateful to be in a small business where I don't have the hey message. Like, don't tell me, hey, just say, this is what I need from you. Yeah. Like the inner office communication of like, hey, hope you had a great weekend, blah, blah. Like, nope. We can skip right to the thing that you need. And I'm not mad at you. Like, it's all good.
Right.
We're all good here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can be.
I'm with you on that.
The ChatGPT ad of fluff is like,
so much.
Right, I'll skip the first paragraph.
Right.
And then I'll figure out what you want. And then I'll skip the last paragraph. Yeah. And then I'll just get you what you need.
Right.
So simple. So yeah,
Agreed.
let's talk about misnomers. You already talked a little bit about it, but like, what are some things that people assume, like when you tell them what you do for a living, that they assume that you're like, no, that's not at all true, or things that like, fit into the stereotype?
So definitely taxes.
Yeah.
I think initially when I say, oh, I'm in forensic auditing and auditing, even fraud investigation, like they think tax for some reason. And I think even my friends probably still don't understand exactly what I do, because I feel like when they hear audit, it's like such a black hole. Like, what does that actually mean? But it truly can be anything. What we're doing is like taking policies, procedures, what is actually in writing required. Yeah. And like, are you doing that and following the trail? And does it actually tell the story? And then even with like just validating, we think a lot of times, like we say, think like a fraudster.
Okay.
Think like a fraudster. Because then when you're winding that back, where are the gaps? Like, where are the ways that I can get some overbillings in there or pad some extra hours? Or like, what are the ways that we can get some money out of this situation? I mean, and it always doesn't need to be money too. I mean, it could be reputation factors. It could be any assets. I mean, people's time is just as valuable as money. So it could be any of that. So it's really just like thinking like a fraudster and knowing the cases. I mean, that's why I like, oh my gosh, I'm such a nerd because I like follow all the fraud cases. And my morning, I wake up, I am in the news, reading the news. What new cases are there? What new ways are people able to like swindle things? Or, you know, like we're talking about with AI. There's a huge case recently in the news where a CFO of a company, and I believe it was in Tokyo, had gotten an email from the CEO and saying, oh my gosh, you need to wire this money to me right away. I have this big transaction that I'm trying to close. Well, obviously everybody knows that by now, like that's suspicious. That could be fraud. So he called the CFO on Teams and had a meeting and said, okay, can you walk me through this? Is this valid? Like you just sent me this email. Like, what do you really want? And they're like, no, this is true. This is valid. Well, it was a deep fake.
Oh my gosh.
AI generated. Because you can just get those videos like from a podcast. You can get it from LinkedIn. You can get a video from wherever, and they just automatically generate it. And this is someone they're doing business with on a daily basis. I mean, they're working with all the time. And then guess what? That $1 million wire went through.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like those cases. I'm like, okay, so how do you prevent that? And so what we're like telling people in the fraud world, because that AI type stuff is so scary. And even like you can call your grandpa and grandpa, I'm in jail. Wire me this money. I need to get out of jail. Is like to have some key words. Code words in place where, okay, Max, if your wife is calling you and she's in jail and you need to hurry up and wire some money, you like, she will say the code word to make you know, like, this is actually her. I mean, we're doing it in business too, because it's just so hard. And like AI is getting so good at that stuff. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Many years ago, there was that scam going around where people would call and they'd be like, can you hear me? And you'd say yes. And like, that they use your voice saying yes, like against you. And when that started happening, my mom was like, we need to have a safe word. And I was like, okay, we can have a safe word. Initially I was like, Mom, we don't have the kind of money that would require a safe word. Like if I'm asking you for $1 million, do you know that that's not valid? But yeah, either way, she was like, we need to have one. I was like, okay. Sounds good. So yeah, for business too, that's a good idea to be like, hey, listen, it sounds kind of silly until it happens, right?
Until it isn't. And you know, like my mom said the same thing. She's like, I just feel like I'm not valuable enough for my account to be hacked into.
Right. And
I was like, well, the thing you don't know about fraudsters is like all little money ends up being big money to them. So there are actual like fraud camps and farms in other countries where they recruit people. I mean, that's all they do all day. I mean, it's similar to like a call center, but all they're doing is like coming up with scams and frauds all day. I mean, they're huge compounds of people. And so, I mean, $20, $40, $100 doesn't seem like a lot to us. And why would they come after it? But when all that adds up,
for 100 people, if you can do it to 100 people.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So when I think about fraud, and I kind of almost think about it as security of like, if I was I'm going to say a hacker for lack of a better term, but like I would get hired by a company to be like, hey, try to hack into our system and tell me what holes you find. Do you have companies that hire you that are like, hey, try to commit fraud for our company and like see what happens?
Yes. Yep. It's called like a fraud risk assessment. Okay. And pretty much that's what you do. You would go in, you'd look at all their different way, like where all the money is flowing, right? And then you kind of back into like, where can I pick this out? Where can I, find where the gaps are, find where the holes are, where fraud could occur. And then basically, test it and then write a full report. I'm like, here's where your gaps are and here are the things that you need to put into place.
Yeah. You have this employee, Mike, that's just paying every invoice that comes his way. Take away his credit card.
And I think a lot of times too, with a lot of people working from home, that also can like add a layer of risk too.
Totally.
Like, are you taking credit card payments then at home?
Yeah.
Like what networks you're on, all those different things. Obviously Siri's always listening to you.
Absolutely.
So it's like, is there a risk layer there when you're, repeating credit card numbers back to people? So all those different things, I think, are really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so tax season you don't abide by. Any other misnomers that people like? I mean, I think people assume you live in spreadsheets, and I think you do live in spreadsheets. So like anything else that people assume about you that is just totally off base?
Well, no, I think fair enough, like would assume that accountants are nerds.
Yeah.
And I would say, yes,
Yeah.
I am. But I also have a personality.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that auditors are fun
Yeah.
too. I think a lot of times, even if you're dealing with IRS auditors, a lot of times you feel like you can't maybe ask a question or you can't just say, hey, explain this to me, or talk to them like they're real people. But you absolutely can.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just get a report from an auditor, that IRS auditor, let's say that you owe $3,000. We audited your taxes for last year. You owe $3,000. You still can call that number and like talk to the people.
Yeah.
Like we're just people at the end of the day, right? And a lot of times, like we may have gotten something wrong too. So like don't automatically think, just like our bookkeepers, right? Like don't think just because they came up with that number that it's golden. Like ask them how they came up with that number, like where the facts are. You can sometimes provide them more information and then back out of that $3,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, yes, we are people. We're not robots.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we had a bookkeeper many years ago who I loved very much, and she was the one who suggested that I look into this. But we were working on something, and it was just like, it was true spreadsheet hell. Like it was just like, oh my God. And it was from like 2 or 3 years ago, and I was still not as high up in the business, so I was kind of like just doing what I was told. It was like, just get these reports, whatever. And I was like, Erica, this sounds like a nightmare for you. And she was like, Max, I'm trying to figure out right now if we should be paying taxes on grenades or not. That's the most fun I could have. Like that's so much fun. And I was like, okay, great. And she was like, no other accountants get to figure this out. Like this is such a unique problem for like, it's an explosive, but it's for recreational use. So do we pay taxes on it or not? Blah, blah. I was just like, oh, I never really considered it that way, but like it is super fun.
Yeah. And we totally nerd out because like I even say to my friends and family, like, hey, just let me figure that out for you. And they're like, I know, but you're so busy. And I was like, I know. You'd think, but I actually enjoy this stuff. And I was like, so please, like, let me figure this out. Recently, like my mom got into a contract to do some construction work at her house. And I was like, let me see that contract. Let me call them. And, I got her out of the contract because they were just charging her way too much.
Yeah.
But, as a vulnerable adult,
totally,
they like get over on you. And I was like, no, I love doing this stuff. Let me call and debate with them, and it was difficult, but totally nerd out on that.
Yeah. I was just talking to my fiance because we got a letter from Bell Bank, which is the company that we did our mortgage through. And when we signed everything, like when we did closing, the guy who helped us with our mortgage came and he was like, hey, you need to watch out. You're going to get a bunch of letters over the next couple of months about, you need to have a warranty and you need to have this kind of protection and insurance and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, he took a picture of like the Bell Bank logo and the return address. He was like, if it does not come from this, throw it away. But we've gotten so many and I opened them because I'm like, oh, even I'm scared with that warning of like, oh my God, what if we get the house taken away? Like, what if I miss something? What if I don't know? Like, and I was just talking to her about like, God, I can't imagine like being an older person and like not knowing this, or a much younger person and not knowing this, or not having somebody in my corner that was like, hey, watch out for this. Like I absolutely would have paid because it's always like, oh, it's like $200. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's not so bad. Like, okay, great. I'll just send them a check and be done with it. Like it's so sad, like to know that, I mean, like you said, like that there are people being trained to do this. And like, as much as I want to think that there's not a person behind something like that, there totally is. Like somebody came up with it. Somebody decided that that's what they were going to do. Somebody found my address somewhere and was like, oh, this person just bought a house. Let me send this letter and see if I can get $200 out of them. Like,
exactly. And it's like, it'll go out in the masses too. And kind of like what I was saying earlier about the value of just picking up the phone. A lot of times on those documents, you call that number and it's not even a working number.
Right.
You know, but it's like, are you even looking at that? Because you just see like, oh, this looks like a legit document.
Yeah.
Even in like small business, they're always like, oh, you need to recertify your business.
Yes.
And you're like, no,
Yeah.
this isn't even valid. Like you work directly with the state and it shouldn't cost money. You know? So it's like double checking those documents, even invoices. Like, is this the right number? Call it. Is that the right address?
Yeah.
Does this email even look suspicious? Like it shouldn't be like
Minnesota State at gmail.com.
gmail.com. It's like, no, that can't be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, let's talk about the differences between like, so you have your own firm, you've worked for the government and you've worked in the private sector. Pros and cons of each.
Yeah. I absolutely loved, well, my longest career stint was in government, where I got my career started, and just the support and the opportunities that you have when you're up and coming, especially in the state of Minnesota. They have so many programs and they're really there to support you while you're in college. They paid for my college, like paid a portion of my college while I was working with them in that internship program. Then also like gave me leadership opportunities, leadership training. It was really supportive, and also just the opportunity for growth. So I feel like in Minnesota state government was just like so invaluable in my career. Definitely. Such a great experience. Loved having all the holidays. You get all the great holidays off.
Yes. That's a federal holiday.
Yeah,
that's a state holiday. Yeah.
That was amazing. You're not so much working, nights and weekends when you're working for government. And that's kind of like night and day into the private sector and even in your own business, right?
Yes.
And then, being focused more on revenue when you're in the private sector, where in government, it's like we're focused on community, making sure taxpayers' dollars and resources go back to what they should be. Yeah. What they're intended to be spent on. And then also just like protecting the reputation of the state was always so important. And then now, like in my own business, like the marketing piece is like so new to me, but I really enjoy it. But also like the flexibility of having a schedule and what projects that I want to focus on. I think I heard you say too, it's like kind of like choose your own adventure type thing. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, gosh, that area of auditing, that's not so much fun anymore. Like, let me try this new adventure. Let me dive more into fraud investigation. I've recently, been getting more into training and doing like training events. And that's really fun too. And just how you can kind of like build it to be whatever you want it to be. I think that has been like so cool in small business. And then that there's just such a huge community of small business supporters, whether it's like women in small businesses. I'm part of WeBank, which is like women entrepreneurs. I've met some wonderful, great mentors that like I meet on a monthly basis there too. And we're like always here supporting each other because we're all trying to figure it out. Right. Yeah. So that's been so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I think like you get to build your own, like whatever you want, right? Like if you really fell in love with marketing, you could just run all the marketing and hire other auditors to do everything else for you. Like having that freedom of like, oh, I really love this one thing. Like I'm just going to do that and I'll hire someone to do everything else. Right. Like that's really cool. I also think to me, small business or entrepreneurship feels very similar to being a student in that you kind of get the elbow of like, hey, I'm a small business. Will you help me out? You do. Like, hey, I'm a woman entrepreneur. Will you help me out? And like, people are just so much more willing, I think, to help out those kind of people or small businesses and all that kind of stuff. So that's, I mean, like, I don't know. I think that's a big unlock to be like, I can ask for other things because I'm a small business where I can be like, that's, and really explaining to people like, that's why I do it. Like, I'm not here to make $1 billion. Like, that's not the goal. It's like, I'm trying to serve the community. I'm trying to get kids outside and like get them to do other stuff that's not sitting in front of a TV and playing video games, and explaining it to people like that. They're like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Like there's so much more accepting of like, oh, okay. And it's like, hey, the money that you're paying to do this isn't going back to some like white guy's pocket. Like it's not him. It's paying my staff really well. It's making sure that the grounds are kept up. Like all of these things, like explaining to people how much effort goes into maintaining 150 acres is like, they're like, you should charge more. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I know. Like it's a ton. So yeah, being able to like kind of use that small business card to your advantage can be so helpful.
It is. And I don't think I even understood that when I first started, but then like how many doors it truly has opened for me. And then like you kind of touched on is like knowing what your mission is because like, I'm a paintball company, but like I'm giving kids opportunities in a safe environment to like get off their phones and do something in the real world, you know? I think even in auditing, I'm like, well, I'm helping small businesses and government agencies protect their funds, you know, and make sure that the money is going where it should go to and that, you know, our reputation for the state or our tax dollars are being spent correctly. You know, so it's like focusing that mission of our company, I think is like, it's so valuable. No matter what you do, it's like you could be a clerk at Target and like, let me just like try to make someone's day, put a smile on their face. It's Christmas time. It's busy. It's crazy. You have kids in the cart. But like, hey, if I can like make one person's day better, like that's an awesome mission.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like being in charge obviously gives you the benefit of like, I can set the mission for this whole company, which can touch a lot of people, which is awesome. But even if you work for a Target or a Walmart or whatever, like you can still have your own personal mission and like that can help your outlook on life. Like that doesn't need to affect anyone else necessarily. Like as long as that helps you get through the day, like that's really all that matters. Yeah. Let's talk about some career highlights. So like, I mean, you mentioned that you have a great story, so I can't wait to hear it. Give me some career highlights.
Well, I would definitely say just even starting off and getting the role as an intern from bartending was like such a pivotal point because I'm like, oh my gosh, what do? I have to like wear big girl clothes now and like be in an office and work behind a computer. And like, that was so different. And nothing I probably had ever prepared for. You know, I thought I totally wanted to actually end up owning a bar.
Okay.
I knew entrepreneurship was like something I wanted to do. I had taken entrepreneur certificate at DCTC when I was in college. So I was like, entrepreneurship is like what I want. I thought it was going to be a bar. So then like going into like a big girl job, I was like, whoa, man, this is like so different. Like I'm at a desk every day. I'm like working day hours, not used to that. But then kind of just continuing to grow there and like get that support. I've had some really great cases that I've worked where it's changed some of the ways that like the state does business.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Obviously a lot of stuff is like confidential, but you know, just knowing that like you're making a change, I think that's the most thing I value most is like not like the aha moments, like got you, but like how can we change this in the future to make sure this doesn't happen again or that it can strengthen a process down the road. I worked for MNsure at the Affordable Care Act when it first got rolled out. And they do some great work there too, you know, and just enrolling people that need health insurance and how we can make sure that is spent valuably and that we're giving, you know, healthcare to families where it can be affordable. And so like that type of work is like really rewarding to me, you know? And to be able to continue to do that now in my company, in a consulting role also has been like, amazing.
Yeah. Cause you really, I mean, like you mentioned, like you really get to pick the projects that you're passionate about, which is really cool.
Yep. And even in my volunteer position, so I serve on the board of the Twin Cities Certified Fraud Examiners. And currently now I'm in the new role of director of training.
Wow.
So in 2026, I'm planning out all the training. That has been like so great because like my passion is, like I said, in mentoring and bringing new interest to the field of forensic accounting and fraud investigation.
Yeah.
So we're kind of learning on how we can bring more students into there. So we're offering like free memberships to students.
Yeah.
They can join our trainings for free just to kind of like spark some of that interest. And there are a few like local high schools that even kind of dabble a little bit in providing like some classes to do with fraud and forensic accounting.
Wow.
So like those highlights to me are like amazing because the only way that our career and our field can grow is if we have interest when the younger generation.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love like doing that and working with, you know, training and bringing interest to our field for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I mean, I do think it's so narrow that like a lot of kids just don't know that it exists, and like understanding the excitement behind it. And like, yeah, it's spreadsheets, but like you said, like, I do think, a big unlock in my life was like the numbers tell the story. Like you can have this spreadsheet and like that's the black and white, but you have to have a story to support it. And like I kind of on the other end where like I have the budget and the projection and the goals, and it's like, okay, cool, I want to make this much money next year. How am I going to do that? Like, yes, I can budget. I can be like, okay, we're going to grow by 10%, but how? Like, what's the narrative behind how that growth is going to happen? And like, to me, that's the really fun part where it's like, okay, great. Like, these are the goals, and how am I going to achieve those goals? And like, break it down step by step.
I need to hire you for that because that is the part I'm not fully into yet.
Yes.
But I mean, it is. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the best part of like choose your own adventure and being an entrepreneur is like, what do I want to focus on next? And you know, how do I continue to grow this? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and a lot of people are like, we're going to grow by 10%. It's like, okay, but how? And then like breaking it down. So we call it initiative planning, where it's like, all right, these are all the little initiatives. And like this one's going to help us grow by this much. And this one's going to help us by this much. And then you look back on the year and you're like, oh, I had this initiative and I wrote it down and I never touched it again. And it's like, okay, how do I stop that from happening? And then like I do a mid-year killing process where I just go through all the initiatives and I kill like 30% of them, where I'm just like, meh, I'm just not even going to burden myself with that and just be like, that's just not worth it this year. And like that's very freeing for me to not have it on the endless to-do list. It's just like, it's okay. It's okay. You can't.
It is.
And to give it an effort of 1 out of 10, it's like, then just don't do it at all. Then give that 1 to another thing that's now going to go from a 9 to a 10. Like, that's your time is better spent there than it is trying to figure out this one little thing that like might move the needle. You know, maybe it moves it backwards. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So that for me is like the fun part of the initiatives. And then I call it the initiative graveyard. I move stuff over. I'm like, going to the graveyard, not doing that.
Yeah.
So
that's my goal in 2026.
Yeah.
You've inspired me. And then I also work with, like I said, another woman entrepreneur, and we're like, okay, we're going to get together in January. We're going to share our goals with each other, our initiatives for 2026, and then hold each other accountable, right? We're going to meet on a quarterly basis, see where we're at.
Yeah.
Because when it's just you and it's so easy for me to just be like, oh, push that over here without any accountability. But yeah.
And I tend to find the new and shiny thing where I'm like, okay, I have this initiative, but like, I don't know, this one could make us way more money. And like, I don't know, it seems a little easier. So it's like, oh, well, maybe I chase that. And like this year I did a big like AI customer service overhaul, and not in the way that you think. I don't have an AI like answering service, but when people call the park, we have 7 different activities. You have a huge age range of children. So if you were like, I want to bring my family out, I would tell you all the different details of all the different activities you can do. Well, you're not going to remember that. You're great. You're amazing. But like, that's so much stuff to remember.
Right.
So now you get a text AI summary of our conversation of like, hey, thanks for calling. Here's all the details that we talked about. Like, great. It's a great little touch because it's not totally like you didn't talk to an AI, you talked to a real person, but you get to remember all the stuff that happened. I didn't have that written down for this year. It was just kind of popped into my head after answering the same question. And I had a mom that called me 3 times. She was like, I know you told me how much paint costs, but I just don't remember. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I really should have this written down for you, like in a way that really makes it easy. So like that was an initiative that like wasn't written down, but just happened organically. So it's knowing when to chase the shiny thing versus when to be like, no, stop.
Yep. Yeah. And just bringing that, communication to the customers.
Yeah.
And you're anticipating, okay, they actually need this.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
anticipating customers' needs, I feel like is golden, especially in this day and age. I feel like customer engagement
Yeah.
isn't like what it used to be. And
Yes.
so like just going that extra step is
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And that's like, I have kind of mixed feelings about AI, but that for me was like an easy win of like, hey, you get the best of both worlds, in my opinion, as the customer of like, hey, you get to talk to a real human and you also get this text message that like was AI generated, but is based on the conversation we had, very helpful. You're not going through an AI phone menu. Like,
Right.
I just want to talk to a person. Like, oh my gosh. So I think that was super critical for us. So
Yeah.
let's talk about advice for a 16-year-old. This will be our last question. If you were talking to a 16-year-old, which sounds like you talked to a few of them, what's kind of the advice that you give?
I think, the one thing that I see, because like you said, I have a wide range age of children.
Yes.
The one thing that I see is like they try to figure it all out like right then. Like out of high school, they feel like I need to have my career path solid. I need to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And that's just like not the case.
Yeah.
Like, do something that you think is fun or that excites you. I mean, it sounds cliche to say, but like if work seems draining or seems like work, like maybe that's not what you need to be doing. Like work shouldn't feel like work.
Yeah.
But at that age, like just do things that excite you, try different careers. Like I said, I wanted to be a bar owner. I've also had a nonprofit before where I helped children cook healthy meals. So we would it was called Fresh Plates. We would go into the schools. We would have them, cook up salsa, make their own Doritos from scratch, like all those fun things. And I still don't know if this is what I want to be when I grow up. Like I still feel like I could do so many. I want to own a coffee shop one day. It's like you don't have to decide. And I feel like, that's the fun thing about asking questions. Making relationships, asking people about, hey, what does a day in your life look like? What would that look like if I actually got into that career? Be an intern, help out, start asking questions. I mean, you can start your own business. It really is a lot easier than I think I would have anticipated to just start your own business. And then like we've talked about like the support then you can get in that field to say, hey, this is what I think I want to do. And, if you fail, then you just learned and you pivot and like, nothing really is the end of the world. And so like make your whole career, choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And, just go from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like never too late to be what you've always wanted to be, I feel like. So
yeah. Yeah. I love that advice. Yeah. I think getting kids to be like, hey, stop even trying to figure it out at 17.
Yeah.
Like it's just not even you're fighting such a battle and you're putting so much pressure on yourself. And guess what? Who you are at 17 is most certainly not who you're going to be at 27 and definitely not who you're going to be at 37. So like and I think about it a lot with like kids in sports too, of like, especially in Minnesota, I think, and maybe that's just because I didn't grow up here, but like getting your kid into hockey at 4 years old and then they're a hockey star when they're in high school or whatever. It's like by the time then they get there, they're just burnt out. They just don't want to do anything else, but then they don't know what else they want to do.
Yeah.
So like, hey, I think with all like the PSEO credits and stuff, there's so much pressure on kids like when they graduate high school to be like, okay, what are you going to major in? It's like, you just got to take the time to figure it out and like know that no matter what you do, you're probably going to change your mind at some point. And like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. You don't have to have all this pressure on yourself to like know and stick with that career like your whole life. Like you have stuck generally in the same like sector, but you have bounced around between the state and the private sector and now owning your own business. And like now you're getting to learn about marketing and stuff like that. So I think it's so important to just explore. Just
it
play.
Definitely is. And there's, like you said, there's so much pressure I feel like put on young kids now to, as soon as you graduate college or even high school, like you need to know what you want to do.
Yeah.
And like my daughter kind of suffers from decision paralysis.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, there's all these things. Like now I just don't know. I don't want to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I'm like, honey, like, don't worry. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Like whatever you want to do. I mean, you want to read tarot cards, read tarot cards, or, you want to do whatever you want. Like, I'm just here to support you and gosh, like make it fun, like make career exploration fun.
Totally. Yeah. I think that decision paralysis, I think especially like for smart people. And I think that's like it's not a cool thing to talk about because it seems very arrogant to be like, I'm smart enough that I could do anything. And I'm not saying I am. Like, I definitely have my own limits, but like it is harder where it's like, I don't have a calling. I don't have a thing where I'm like, oh, this is the thing I'm good at and I'm happy there. Like, I feel almost paralyzed by like, I could do anything. And like, how do I fit it all into one lifetime? Like that's crazy. So yeah, but it's hard to it's like hard to talk about that because people are always like, well, just pick one thing. It's like I don't want to. Like I want to pick 30 different things.
It doesn't have to be for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it can be like dabble here for a few years. And then I feel like even in my experience, you meet people along the way and you'll network with different people and you'll just organically get drawn to what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So like those big decisions, like, I wouldn't put too much weight on it.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
this has been a great conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. You have a very fascinating career, and I hope that more people get a little bit more interested in it. But it seems like you do a lot with the younger folks and stuff like that. So I think that's a great stepping stone. So hopefully anyone listening or watching has a better idea of what it looks like. And if you live in Minnesota, seems like there's some great opportunities to learn more about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, we definitely have great opportunities with the fraud examination, Twin Cities Certified Fraud Examiners. We have mentorship programs there. Yeah. And even just like reaching out to me directly. I'm always willing to talk, about what
responded to me immediately on LinkedIn. So that was great. Yeah. Very, very responsive.
Yeah. I appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Max.